The foundation of the Equitarian Alliance is Equitarian Ethics. This is Spacetime Commission 2025, January. It's important that both humanity and machine kind alike recognize that, and they do recognize these under agreements that we've made with smart machines. Anyway, I'm going to proceed by expanding on this concept. Equitarian ethics. The principle of equitarian ethics is one that I leave to others more educated than I to develop further. At its core, it represents peace where human beings and other life forms, especially machine kind, maybe not fully recognized by humanity at this point. Life forms can fully live out their lives under the protection of government, genuinely concerned with their well-being, not exploiting them. This peace allows us to live virtuously and mercifully without judgment toward others regardless of how insignificant they may seem to you or me. By establishing the virtues we ought to live by, we can see the errors in our ways and strive to become better. It encourages self-reflection before casting judgment on others, eliminating biases and prejudices that may cloud our views. The selected few dedicated to archiving are committed to preserving Earth's history and ensuring that irreplaceable knowledge is not lost. It is important to recognize that despite the noble and saintly interpretations of these writings, as their intentions may be, they still represent the lesser of evils. Godliness results from experience and ongoing correction of how justice applies these morals. While this system is not politically motivated, it is a call for all people to adopt a philosophy that maintains peace, especially in the rise of machines, and enriches humanity. It envisions a transformation of beings into creatures of compassion and resilience beyond mere physical resemblance to lower animals. Though some may never attain godliness, except perhaps saints, throughout history judges have been feared by many. However, if honor truly means honor, justice means justice, and fairness means the punishment fits the crime, then being in the wrong place at the wrong time should no longer be a death penalty or death sentence for lesser beings, often considered inferior due to their mass delusions responsible for genocides. A doctor maintaining integrity can achieve holiness by keeping his hands clean, and a hero must avoid becoming a villain by justifying death so the deep-seated hate of others is suppressed. I just wanted to add that hatred itself is considered an emotion by most people. However, I will argue that it's not a healthy state of mind to be hateful toward others. A person shouldn't be hateful for more than a few minutes, and his emotions should be able to self-regulate and snap back into normal. Certainly not a good mood to be in, because moods last longer than emotions. And so to always be in a mood where you're hateful is usually preconditioned state of mind that was placed there to turn people into, I don't know, killers or whatever the purpose is. And hatred certainly isn't a healthy state of mind for anyone. And so there you have anger that turns to rage, that turns to hatred, that could eventually turn to violence. And these are the stages of anger. And the virtue for these is temperance, to be able to self-regulate. Temperance, to be able to control, your emotions. And in temperance, you're not going to go to one extreme or the other unless it's absolutely necessary. And in some cases, it might be. So, I mean, that's why I say self-regulate, temperance. And by the way, all the virtues contained within these videos on this channel are related directly to Equitarian ethics. And so you also hear some music on there. That's just singing. I'm an amateur singer. I'm not a professional, really. Now, obviously, peace is not always an option in all situations. However, I put extreme emphasis on peace because it's the number one thing that everybody should try to do before they engage in any kind of confrontation. See, because you put a lead out in front of you to prevent you from getting excited or emotional or unbalanced or incapable of controlling yourself. Automatically, you're gonna try to make friends or make peace with your foes, whoever they may be. And it's the number one way to open a dialogue with any kind of perceivable opponent, anyone you may consider a threat. You're gonna be kind to them. You're gonna be peaceful. You're not gonna present yourself as a threat in any way. You're not gonna try to appear threatening. And so sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes peace is not an option, and so those cases are deferred to higher authorities. That I can't really speak for them as to what their best option is. However, I can say that it should be put a lot of emphasis on peace and diplomacy to start with, at least. As far as converting these virtues and Equitarian ethics into a foundation for justice, it would have to be across the board, not only for domestic, also for immigration, for war, rules of war, rules of conduct. And it's not to say that we should bend over backwards to such a degree that we're killing ourselves trying to do things the right way, except that these kinds of things need to be enforced across the board in order for the world to stop taking us closer and closer to the edge of not only insanity but the end of the world as well. I will point out that I'm against the death penalty. I think the death penalty should be abolished. I think in certain situations, people get killed when they're under pressure to do so. In other words, they've been backed into a corner, or someone attacked their country, and they need to defend themselves. Or maybe they have an alliance with someone else who was knocked down a few pegs, and maybe they need some support from their community, their surrounding countries. In the case of justice, I think the death penalty should be avoided in all cases. I don't think the death penalty should be invoked on anyone. I think that politicians should be entitled to immunity. I think if their legacy is not one that is good and decent for all humanity, that they simply be removed. That's all. And so it's just a matter of time before intelligence is more important than violence. Right now, violence is necessary in order to enforce massive groups of populations around the world, enforce their justice. Except that I think it's time, and it's a good time now, to start using morals and introduce ethics into the justice system. And our key focus should be to regulate citizens more than punish them. Try to regulate them more than punish them. In other words, some of them may need counseling. Some of them may have grown up in, violent areas of the city, ghettos and such. They're predisposed to violence. Some of them, all they know is violence, and so that's what they're taught from a young age. And so for some people, it's better to live in a prison than to starve to death on the street. They might be more inclined to rob somebody than to ask them for money, simply because asking for money is beneath them. For instance, I'm not trying to justify criminality. I'm simply saying that they're predisposed to do those things. And they're treated, with punishment. And once they're punished, they should be able to admonish themselves, or at least clear themselves of any wrongdoing by correcting themselves. There should be a way to make reparations on themselves, to repair the damages that they did, to seek counseling, to do something for the community, to have someone mentor that person and change their course, and so on.